What's going on, guys? It's Tyler here with TD Gaming, here to bring you another Bloons Tower Defense 6 video. So this time we're going to be tackling another Odyssey. This one's called Half to the Extreme. So the idea of this game mode is that every game is half cash. You only play half the length of the challenge, meaning if you would normally finish at round 80, instead of playing from 1 to 80, you're playing from 40 to 80. You know, half, technically half, but the harder half, right? Towers also only have half the upgrades, which is obviously a lot more challenging, especially when you throw in half cash and you throw in like balloon effects and stuff like that. So if I remember correctly, this one was the Moabs move twice as fast, but they only have half the HP, which definitely threw me off. So I also want to stress to you guys that this was not this isn't a single segment run. This was me beating the challenge and then going back right before I beat it, recording what I'm going to do to beat it, to show you guys how I managed to beat this, because this was very hard, and if I tried to beat this in one single run, this would have taken me hours and hours, and this video would be at least 8 hours long, which is ridiculous. So I figured it'd be better to trial and error my way to actually beating it, and then just replaying it and showing you guys how I did it. So I was recording these videos as I was playing, just in case I got one that would win. These first couple of maps, not too bad. I also jumped right into this challenge. I kind of picked the towers. You know, I noticed right off the bat that they were only, you could only go 3 tiers on each path. So I kind of just picked the towers that I thought would have worked. The first time I did this challenge, I actually picked like Banana Farm and Village and stuff like that, stuff that I really don't need. But besides that, I actually ended up jumping in with just the towers that I do enjoy. I tried to get the most beneficial tier 3s. Like in this case, the Destroyer is very powerful. Obviously, it's a tank. It's a damaging tank. For the Boomerang, Glaive Ricochet is powerful. For the Sniper, a 203 is very, very high damage for Moabs and stuff like that. That's why I used it. Submarine, I grabbed the Submarine because there's a couple of water maps. It actually does become useful on a later map. I don't want to spoil things. I want to keep this not really as a surprise, but I'd like to see you guys kind of figure it out with me, if that makes sense. The Monkey Ace is nice because of the never miss targeting. Also, the fighter plane is very good for Moabs, so it's definitely handy to have. The Wizard, I went with Dragon's Breath. Dragon's Breath is very good damage. It's probably my least used path for him, surprisingly. But Dragon's Breath does do pretty solid damage against a lot of balloons at once. Not to mention, obviously, the benefits of Wall of Fire. And it's very cheap camo, which is my main struggle here. I picked Etienne solely because when you're dealing with half cash, you need to save as much money as you can. And in this case, you need to save which towers you're going to be using, because any towers you use on this map are eliminated for the next 4 maps. So I started off with 10 Buccaneers, and you'll see on the next map, which I believe is Cabin, I'll only have 8 to use, which is what I currently have. So Etienne getting camo saves me from having to use weaker cross paths, like I would have went with Destroyer camo. It's strong, but it's not really nearly as strong as a Destroyer with Grape Shot, so I figured giving everybody camo would be an easy way to ensure that I can go with the most beneficial cross paths instead. With that being said, Druid, I went Druid because, I mean, come on, the tornadoes to blow balloons back, and just the Druid of the Jungle is just so powerful, guys. It is busted, honestly. Insta-kill on ceramics, damages everything that comes through. With camo, now it's hitting every balloon, right? And then getting rid of any regenerative properties on top of that, it's just too powerful for how much it costs. So definitely have to use that. Then Spike Factory, you know, spike balls are good. The extra damage to the Moabs in the middle path is also good. And if I really wanted longer life spikes, it's not a bad upgrade, right? Spike Factory is a pretty safe play. So that being said, you can see my strategy here. I do have 1 Druid down. I'm trying to be careful with what I have, like knowing that there's 5 maps and I have 10 Druids, 10 Buccaneers, 10 Submarines. I can use really 2 per map to make things work. But when I'm doing these challenges, I also kind of like to keep my lives max, which made this video take a lot longer to record because I didn't want to go into the last map not knowing what's expected of me. With like 10, 12, 15 lives, it makes it too difficult at that point, right? So, yeah, so this is basically the strategy right here. You got Etienne giving everybody camo, and then obviously when he gets level 10 and he gets the UCAV, it's very beneficial as well. Definitely helpful, good damage. Etienne by himself does pretty solid work, so not to mention his range boost, and at level 16 he gets like almost the whole map, really. It's very good. Giving everybody camo helps. It saves on cross paths. It saves on having to use villages and, you know, decamoing ninjas and stuff like that. That's not really worth the upgrades or the money, especially because it's half cash. Like, you can see here around 65. Even if I wanted to, I can't add any more monkeys. This one also had a cash limit. So, don't really remember what the limit was, but I'm maxed out, as you can see. So, yep. So we're really just going to fly through the rest of these rounds. Shouldn't be too bad. I don't think it was... Honestly, this one was the least of my worries, just because Resort is overall a very easy map to begin with. So, yeah, I got my fighter jet in there just to do damage to the Moabs. I got the 2 destroyers just so it can maul everything else, because it really does destroy everything. It's the only thing it really misses is camo, but once you give it camo, it's just the most reliable tower I have. Right, I have a bouncing bullet down there. A bouncing bullet is very nice for cleanup. It's not really necessary now that I have the destroyers, but I don't. If you were paying attention to the beginning, there were camos, and obviously Etienne wasn't level 8. The destroyer wasn't set for camo, so that bouncing bullet camo sniper really did come in handy before the level 8. And it's not worth selling and getting a new one. Bouncing bullet is still very powerful. It's still very handy. It still deals pretty good damage with large caliber. I'm not sure. I forgot which crosspath I went with. I believe I went with the fast firing, but still, it does stun camos. I'm sorry, it stuns ceramics. It deals extra damage to camos. It's a good crosspath overall. It definitely buys you some time, so, I mean, why not? Selling it and then rebuying it, I wasn't really sure if it would lower the count to 6, so it wasn't really worth the risk, right? It doesn't make sense to risk anything I don't have to risk, but... Yep, so we're just going to finish up on this. I was doing this map with the intention of using the least amount of towers possible, but enough to keep it safe. You know, I don't want to lose on this. Yep, there's really not much more to say about this map in particular. It wasn't a struggle. The first time I played it, it absolutely caught me off guard with the fact that the Moab spawned right on around 40. I didn't even pay attention to it started at around 40. I thought it was going to start around like 6. But, and the fact that it was moving at the speed of a jet, which obviously threw me off as well. So, definitely a very cool idea. I like the idea of half everything. Don't really think of how difficult it is until you play 5 maps in a row with your towers getting eliminated. But I definitely did not expect... I really didn't think ahead on this challenge, that's my fault, obviously. I didn't look at the maps ahead of time. I took all of the challenges for every map as they came. I did record all of these. So my idea was I wanted to play through each map, but I recorded every single attempt just in case it made it. You're going to see on the 3rd map that I'm going to beat it, and it's going to say that the reward was already claimed. I made the mistake of actually finishing the map without exiting out beforehand and then recording it. So I actually, for this video, I had to restart the voyage, I had to do cabin again, and I had to do resort again, using the same towers, the same amount of towers, in the same placement, so that when I got back to re-record the 3rd map, I had everything lined up exactly how, it was. This way, I didn't want to record these 2 properly, and then I messed up on the 3rd video. I finished it without recording it, because I was really struggling with it. So I wanted to get a strategy down and then record, because it would save me time. And then at that point, I had to go back and I had to redo both of them, and it was very difficult. It took me so much longer to beat to beat Cabin, than it did to beat this one, that's for sure. But I had to redo it, and then I actually goofed up on the last one too, but we'll get into that when it actually comes time for that. There's no point in going over that now. But as you can see, I finally, I just beat Resort. Resorts, I wasn't worried about Resort at all going into it. Resort's an easy map. It's got to be one of the easiest maps in the game, if not top 3, maybe. next to like logs and cubism. So now we're jumping into cabin. This one I struggled with. I did not realize that this was starting at 41 instead of 40. So I actually, the first time I played this map, it completely threw me off guard. I went immediately with my destroyer again. Did not work out at all. Absolutely not. This, just not trying to not leak lives through the first 5 rounds or so was brutal. That took me dozens of attempts on its own. But you can see the main struggle here is the camo detection. That's going to be my struggle for the next 4 maps, for the next 3 maps after this as well. But the destroyer, the 302 is criminally underrated, I would say. I don't really think anybody uses it, right? Unless you have to, like in this case. It's definitely worth it. It's a very good cross path. It's a very strange cross path. But as you can see, it's got enough range where it covers the top, the right, the left, and the bottom when the sniper is. So they really have to push through to get, if they have to get out of that range in order to actually get through. And you're gonna see that not really too much of an issue, but this map did take a lot of trial and error. This was a very difficult map for me to beat. Just because there's a lot of scary moments like that. Like they get through. They do get through because you're very limited on how much money you're actually making. It's a struggle because you need to put down Etienne so that he can get camo detection for everybody, but he's terrible right now, right? He's awful until he starts getting more drones. Or his UCAV ability, or really both. So, on that note, I start getting my destroyer ready, my actual damage, because you need damage, right? You absolutely need something that's going to obliterate everything that shows up. And that, for me, was the destroyer again, which shouldn't be too much of a surprise, I would think. But you could see how scary it is because of how far they get, but that range really comes in clutch. Now on 50, as you can see, the Moabs for this map are actually reversed. So, Resort had Moabs moving twice as fast with half the health. This one's actually, I believe it's half speed with double health is what this one is. It's actually a lot harder too. And again, you can see the camo destroyer right there. It's shooting at the balloons next to the sniper, but it's hitting the ones that are trying to escape. It's very scary. I got my boomerang in that spot just because obviously it's not going to do anything against Moabs. I don't care about the Moabs. There's no reason. But it will be very good against the stragglers. So any balloons that do make it down there, instead of relying on blind luck from the destroyer, my boomerang can whittle them down while the sniper bouncing bullets them away. And it gives the druid time as well to grab it with the vine and deal damage to them too if they're the last ones on the map. So there's definitely a lot of strategy that goes into this. I didn't expect this to be this hard. I was getting to the point, honestly, where I didn't think I was going to be able to beat it. Very happy that I was able to prove myself wrong now. Yeah. This map, I have to, if I'm being honest, I think I had to try this map at least 20 times to get the strategy down. Because I just didn't know. This is so difficult going into it, you don't expect it, you know? And at the same time, I didn't know if I had the right set of monkeys. I didn't even look at the maps ahead. I didn't know what the next 3 maps were going to be. I went into this completely blind because I thought it would make it more interesting and more, maybe a little bit more impressive, I guess, but definitely more interesting to kind of grab the monkeys that you like under the set circumstances you're given and finding a way to make it work. I thought that'd be more impressive in my eyes, right? So, I mean, looking back on it, there are a couple of regrets. Like, I did grab 10 submarines, and I grabbed 10 buccaneers, and I didn't realize that there was a map or 2 that had no water. So I kind of wasted spots on them, or I could have used an extra destroyer on this map and maybe an extra one on another map to make it even out. But that's all. Again, I went into this completely blind, so these are reruns. This one I believe is original recording. This is the first time I recorded it every single time I played it. And this is my genuine, me genuinely beating it. This isn't a reenactment. The next map, I believe, Cornfield, if I remember correctly. I beat that accidentally and had to redo these 2 to get to that one again. And then, so that one, I already kind of have a strategy going. Like, I know how to do it at that point, but I had to redo it, and I had to redo these maps like I mentioned earlier to get them done. But as far as resort and this one goes, these are the actual, like, I only beat these one time. This is the first time. But again, you can see that boomerang for 63, it's terrifying. 63 is terrifying, and you can see that boomerang is clutch in that spot. And then I had the ability, so I figured I might as well spam it. Also deal damage to the double HP Moabs coming in the next round. So, again, there's a lot of strategy that goes into this gameplay. I think I like challenges like this. I like when they set you up for these kind of challenges. It makes it's a lot more fun, I believe, when you have a challenge handed to you rather than making your own challenge. Because this isn't something that I would have thought of, to be honest. Like, half cash, double HP Moabs moving at half the speed with only half the upgrades, playing half the round. Definitely creative challenge. Shout out to... I know they give credit to who it is, but definitely I'm going to give credit to the shout outs to them. Very cool. This is a very cool challenge at all. And the maps do not make it any easier. There's maps here that I've never even played. Well, barely played. Like, I think the last one is Workshop. Workshop is ridiculously hard. Never mind adding this challenge into it. So you can see that I basically have the strategy already all figured out at this point, right? You only have $4,000 left to spend, but again, at this point, you don't really know if you want to use that money or if you want to waste the tower because you never know what you're going to need. You can start seeing that the druid and stuff like that is really coming into effect here. It's nice to deal damage to everything that's spawning. And insta-kill is obviously save you time. I'm not sure if the ceramics had extra health here too. I think it was just the Moabs with the double health. But you can see that this challenge is basically, this level is basically done. There's not much more to be done, right? It's more just using the abilities at times that make sense, like the end of 75, all of 76, 78's difficult. 78's doable, but it's not worth taking a risk, right? And then obviously you have 80, which is a ZOMG that has double health, which is just ridiculous. You can really see that those destroyers are doing work. Destroyers, the snipers are doing pretty solid damage. You know, when it's double health, you can't really take too many risks. I'm surprised that I was able to beat it with the 8 or 9 towers that I have down. I don't really have Moab damage going for me, right? I don't have a Moab press, or I don't have a first strike or anything like that. I don't even have a monkey ace down with the fighter plane, which, I mean, looking back would have been a lot more beneficial to have. But it is what it is, right? I still got it done. Definitely cool. Definitely nice to have these kind of rough challenges in here. By the time this comes out, there will be another Odyssey out that I'll give another chance. I do have a couple videos in the works. I know I've definitely been delayed. I think this is my first video this week, honestly, and that's terrible. But I've been trying to move and working a lot so I can replace some furniture and stuff like that, because I'm moving in with the girlfriend. So just a lot of priorities and stuff like that. I got to get that situated too. I want to make this into like a full-time thing. I definitely want to make better videos, get more creative with my videos, really learn the editing and stuff like that. Make it as simple and, you know, maybe get a little bit better at how I explain things. I don't like the pauses and the ums and stuff like that, because it's not really how I am in person. But trying to think of stuff to say over a course of an hour is very difficult. You can see this is definitely a scary round. Absolutely a terrifying round. Just because it's like, oh, there's only one BFB and one Moab, but they're really all stacked on top of each other, which makes it terrible. But boomerangs, bouncing bullet snipers, all coming in clutch. You can see 76. Nothing. Just use the ability, right? Now you have to deal damage to the double health Moabs. not too bad of a challenge. This one actually did take me a lot of tries. Pretty shameful, to be honest, because it was really the beginning. Once you get past like 50, that's when you're pretty much good to go for a while. Then obviously these later rounds are difficult, but it was working with the beginning amount. It was the camo destroyer had to go in a very specific spot where it would pop them when they're coming down the original loop, like where the drones are right now, to like hit the balloons behind it too, and to hit them when they're escaping. That's a little tough. I had to sacrifice a little bit of the track to the right where the spike factory is, but I figured that at that point there would be Moabs and it would hit it anyway. But not that easy. It took a lot of placement was the issue. It took, trying to figure out the order of putting stuff down, like Etienne and whatnot, so that Etienne would level up at the good time to give everybody camo and to get his abilities and all that. That's what took the time, honestly. That was killer. 79, not really an issue. You'd think it'd be a bigger issue because it's like 5 BFBs and I think 1 or 2 of them are fortified, but not too bad. Yeah, I keep checking Etienne because I do have $240 that I can spend. So if his upgrade ends up being $240 or less, I could just buy it instead of having to wait. I'm on around 79 now, so that's the last time I checked. There's no point in to keep checking, right? Especially when I have Etienne's abilities, all these things. I'm going to have a lot of spikes too by the time the ZOMG gets there because it's moving at half speed and already moves slow. So, yeah, not too bad. Spike balls definitely help. They do help. It doesn't look like it because it kind of just plowed through them, but now we got round 80. Round 80 is just, spam abilities, all that good stuff. Round 80 is scary. It is scary because it's just basically a fortified ZOMG. Using whatever towers that you thought about 30 minutes ago on half cash. Not the easiest. It'd be nice if you can get a tier 4, you could just hook it or something or stun it with a sniper, which would be nice, but it is what it is. Now we're using the drones. Gonna spam the UCAV again when it starts to get a little bit more dead. When I get some of the BFBs popped, that's when I'm gonna use it because that makes the most sense. I'd want it to finish it off. I don't want to leave like 8 Moabs on the screen and have them plow through. That's just, so right around now would be a good time for me to use it. Right there. Yep. Just so the idea was to use it so that it would actually finish off everything. And with that, we have cabin completed. Not too bad. Now we're going to jump into level 3, which was Cornfield. Cornfield was surprisingly not as difficult than I expected it to be. I think I beat it like within 3 tries, but I didn't record it because I didn't exit out before I beat the last round. So I ended up having to redo it, and redoing it took me like 15, 20 tries, which is pretty ridiculous. But the biggest thing, it wasn't really losing on Cornfield, but again, I wanted to add the extra challenge of maintaining all 50 lives. That was the issue. Also, figuring out the order to place these monkeys, because again, you need Etienne down as soon as possible so that he can level up quicker, right? But you also need to plan ahead for camos. So, those camel purple balloons caught me off guard quite a few times. I didn't realize they spawned on 45. When I think about 45, I just remember that there's a lot of pink balloons. So, those camel purples really threw me off guard. And I had to get the monkeys, I had to get the wizard monkey and the snipers in the right spot and use Etienne's ability so that he could pop the purple part of the balloon so that I could hit him with the wall of fire just in case. But this is the first time that I'm going to be using the wizard monkey. Wizard monkey is very clutch, especially with that wall of fire, especially with Dragon's Breath. But you can see here how close those purple balloons are getting. It's nerve-wracking, it is. But Boomerang Monkey is very beautiful on this map. It's why I love the Glaive Ricochet. Just watching it hit everything, it's just nasty. Like this, it's very satisfying watching them all pop like that. Now we got the camos, not the camos, we have the ceramics, so I gotta spam the ability because it's too much. Oh, it's also worth mentioning on this map, there's quite a few editors in this one. It is, I believe the ceramics have half health, the Moabs have half health, and there was one other thing that was to it. I can't remember what it was. I might be wrong, it might be just that, but I know the ceramics and the Moabs do have half health in this map. I don't think there's anything with the movement speed. I think the movement speed's normal. But, yep. So, this map, I did beat this one relatively quickly. That placement is actually very particular because I want the wall of fire to spawn on the right, and because I'm not going for guided magic, I need the wall of fire to be on that. That targeting, that spot location for the wizard is very important. I needed the wall of fire to be on the right side because if it's on the left, it's going to be useless. By that time, I won't have any opportunity to pop any purples. So I figured that putting it further away to allow me to pop any purples that get there would obviously make the wall of fire a lot stronger. Those wizards are both going to become Dragon's Breaths. Dragon's Breath is just too powerful, way too much damage per second. It's just probably the best if you're looking at just tier 3s. It's got to be the best. As for tier 4 and 5, it's Sprint to Darkness every time. But in this case, Wall of Fire, Dragon's Breath is the most important. Also, I'm obviously going to get my Druid of the Jungle going again because it's very powerful. Instant kills are nice. Not to mention the ceramics are weakened, so they will take a lot more damage from it, which is very helpful to popping them. But now, at this point, I figured another boomerang probably wouldn't hurt. Especially at this point, I can guarantee that there won't be any purples going to the wall of fires. So, very nice. At this point, it's pretty much smooth sailing. Like, the name of this game isn't so much damage because they have half health, it's more pierce. And because the ceramics have a lot less health, boomerangs are very powerful. Boomerangs and Druid of the Jungles are very powerful on this map. Also, this is one of the maps I didn't look ahead at to notice that there's no water here. I didn't really realize I was playing on cornfield, so Buccaneer and Submarine, useless. I got 10 submarines, not really useful. I figured that they would be a good choice just because of the infinite range and, you know, the airburst darts with triple gun. It's obviously a lot of very good damage. Max put that with infinite range and it's very powerful. Yeah, that's really my thinking behind the submarine. There's not much that goes into it. I will use the top half submarine for a very kind of spoof reason that I didn't realize was a thing, but it does come in clutch for me for the next map. I believe it's Cargo. Cargo is very difficult. Again, one of the maps that I didn't think was going to be that difficult. It was not as difficult as I thought it was going to be. I think I beat that one. Honestly, I think I beat that within maybe 5 tries. It wasn't too bad. I thought it was going to be a lot harder because Cargo in general is a harder map. But it was a pretty good surprise, I guess. But, I mean, you can basically see the strategy here. Now I'm just really going to use the money. There's no limit on this one. If you notice too, there's no. It doesn't tell you the maximum amount of cash that you can spend. So now I'm at that point where I'm just going to upgrade what I have and then go from there. Just in case. Not too much going on. This is basically the strategy for how I beat Cornfield personally. Cornfield is definitely a pain. It's a cool map though. I like the idea of you have to kind of unlock everywhere that you want to put monkeys, and it gets in the way of the range and stuff. I feel like it's probably one of the easier hard maps. Surprisingly, maybe it's because of the monkeys that I like to use, like the Druid and the Boomerang and stuff like that. And obviously snipers are nice. Anything like the top path wizard monkey that can see over cornfields with, you know, good range, also nice. Yeah, I'm not really sure what it is, but I've never had too much of an issue with cornfield. But it is definitely one of my more liked maps, I would say. But you can see the Dragon's Breath is just doing good damage really to everything on here. Getting rid of the camo, the regenerative properties is very nice. Not to mention it's really just popping any camo, any ceramic balloons that come over the vine as well. So I went with this just for safety, just to get myself, I believe I went with fighter plane here. Just because there are still a lot of Moabs and it doesn't really make sense to taunt them, you know. I'd rather use something that can hit them anywhere on the screen that's going to be targeting them. Sniper's nice for that, but Sniper's also focused on other balloons, so... And I didn't want to overwhelm myself with too many ceramics. Even though they are weakened, they're still ceramic balloons. Fighter plane, massive damage, especially when they're at half health. Good upgrade. Gonna go sharper darts for obvious reasons. I don't need camo, and exploding pineapple is nice and all, but not really my favorite crosspath. It's very good for the Spectre, but nah, not really. I guess rapid fire would be better for the Spectre anyway. Now I'm gonna get myself I believe this one's a never miss, just because never miss is the most satisfying crosspath in the game. You can see here that the Druid literally just took away all of its regenerative properties. The camos popped. They could handle it on their own. So there's really not too much more to worry about here. 85 is 2 ZOMGs. ZOMGs really aren't an issue here either, especially at half health. But you can see there's a couple of close calls going on there that I need that UCAV ability. That's with ceramics at half health too, so that's pretty bizarre. But hopefully, you know, Heart of Lightning will help. I was thinking about spamming maybe a couple more glaive ricochets, but didn't even need it for that one. Heart of Lightning did more than enough damage. 79 is a joke. When you combine glaive ricochet and just weak Moabs overall, it's just a joke. So now I got myself the never miss targeting. It's the most satisfying crosspath. It has to be. Just watching the darts swim around the screen and stuff, it's pretty cool. Cool, got my monkey knowledge, always cool. Round 80 is a joke, that thing is gonna get crippled. That's it, ZOMG down. Wall of Fire is coming in clutch, even if it doesn't finish them off. The Druid and the other wizard will. Etienne's super range boost at level 16 is very nice. That's why I was so focused on putting him in that spot, because I knew that eventually he'd be able to see basically the whole map. He can't technically see the balloons on the left, but the Moabs are always so big that he can see them, so... So you can see that everything is just getting decimated right now. Really not too much that goes into this now. Now it's just kind of timing your abilities if you have to. If something's going to leak, then just spam the UCAV. It'll get rid of it basically instantly. So. It looks a lot scarier than it actually is. Everything on the screen right there is weakened by 50%, so. Which, that's a cool idea too. I like the idea of making the monkeys and the balloons at half strength to kind of see who would win in that case. Weakening just the ceramics and the Moabs, but the rainbows and zebras and all that are still the same toughness. So, cool idea to see who's stronger in a sense of having their strengths. Or in this case, having their strengths. But, yeah, you can see again, ZOMG's nothing. Just gonna probably spam the UCAV. Why not? Alright, and that is Cornfield. Now we're hopping into Cargo. Cargo isn't the easiest map ever made. I don't know if anybody's like me, but the first time that a Moab spawned on that map definitely caught me off guard. So, the placement on this one also took me quite a bit to figure out. Just gonna go with another camo destroyer in this case, just like I did with Cabin. It was the best thing to do, and the big straightaway there really does help. Gonna get myself a Wall of Fire going too, as soon as I can. You can really see the strength in the destroyer. I just give it Grape Shot. I didn't give it the Hot Shot. that would not allow me to put down a wizard, and I really need the wall of fire. You'll see why coming up soon. Give it camo. Camo's nice. You can see that this thing can handle itself. Absolutely powerful. I have my submarine down now. Submarines, I realized that I'm already 4 chapters in, 4 levels in, or whatever you want to call it. Still had 10 of them, so I figured that this would be the map to use them, right? But yeah, I got my Ed team down. Again, he needs to get to level 8 so that everybody can benefit from it. This is the only time I think I've ever actually had to use a sonar monkey, and it actually came in clutch because the balloons on this round, I believe there was like 4 or 5 buffs and debuffs. They move at half speed, if you can't tell. I know I have the game on fast forward. They actually do move at half speed. So half speed allows them all to get decamoed in that sonar, which is perfect for this map. I'm gonna keep it that way. That's why I needed the wall of fire with the camo for those ceramics. Ceramics have full health now, again, like they normally do. So I can't really rely on them getting destroyed too easily. But the purples would have been an issue with the wall of fire, which is not worth. That's why I ended up putting a destroyer down. Not a destroyer yet, but it will be. Wall of fire definitely helps you. So, and you can just see how fast the destroyer is, how much damage it does. And then, obviously, I'm going to put my boomerang down, just because the boomerang does so much. But, now you can see how good a destroyer is against these. The Moabs, I believe, also had half health in this one. Moab speed, balloon speed was halved, I believe. And Moabs have half health. I'm pretty sure that's what the challenge was here. I should have went over the challenges before I did them, but it is what it is. I'm going to get my Druid of the Jungle going, just because Druid of the Jungle, again, very powerful, as you can see. Still got my sonar going. Don't have to worry about Moabs being camo, because they're not, so it's really just the balloons that spawn. Even then, I drew up the Wizard Monkey with camo detection, that's why he's there. I mentioned I got a camo destroyer before. I did not. I got a regular destroyer, and that's why I put down the camo wizard. That was my mistake. But now everybody has camo, don't need the sonar anymore, so at some point I'm going to change it back to just a long-range airburst, which is still beneficial, right? Whenever I think of it, I didn't think about it for a little while, so. But you could see the half speed. It's pretty nuts. But everybody has camo, so at this point it's really just spamming my water towers. Didn't look at the next map. Did not look ahead in this challenge at all. I don't know why. Even when I realized that I wasn't looking ahead in this challenge, I still decided to not look ahead in this challenge. The last map has no water in it at all. I should have spammed the rest of my Buccaneers and the rest of my submarines and saved everything else, but that's not what I ended up doing. So it is what it is, I guess. But I still finished it. I'm still doing the voiceover, still got the video out, so I guess it all worked out. Satisfying to see rounds like 59 go by when it's all camo leads and you're not supposed to hit them, but so now you can see again, half speed, half health, they just get mauled right there. Triple it up with destroyers, it's the easiest way to guarantee they're not going anywhere, so. And then I'm going to start spamming out submarines and stuff like that. I'm going to use as many as I can. Again, did not realize that the last map had no water. I didn't even know what the last map was, so I didn't think to use all of my water towers here, but it is what it is, like I said. So this map is too short, which is the issue here. Even though they're moving at half speed, it's still a very short map. So I figured an extra Druid of the Jungle, maybe one more, would still be a good idea, just in case. But you can see how much clutch those destroyers in the end are doing. They're good at taking out the Moabs to begin with. And on top of that, they clean up anything that gets past, you know, the boomerang and the wizard and all that, so. Very clutch tower, very broken for what it is. It's a weird, that submarine up top is very strange looking. I don't know if I've ever really looked at a 302 before and had it actually attacking. If I ever go that path, it's to get the submarine, the engineer, I'm sorry, the energizer, or something along those lines. But it's a very strange cross path. It's actually pretty cool though, seeing the monkey head inside of it. But there's really not too much more to say about this. It's literally just what you're seeing. I'm going to end up putting down more submarines for more safety. Because I still have 8 of them, so I figured I'd use like maybe 4 more. And save them just in case. This probably would have been a lot easier if I actually looked ahead of time. Let's see the maps and plan ahead, but that's less fun. I'd rather figure it out. 70, not going to be an issue. You can see the 2 Druids of the Jungles are really doing a lot of damage to like every balloon that's spawning. To the point where you can't even see them. So it will always target the strongest balloon on stage, but if it's the only balloon on stage, then it's just gonna hit that one. So having 2 of them there, it's very powerful. Got another one going. These are all just gonna be 203s. Triple gun airburst is very good damage on its own, so spamming a couple of them is just extra safety. That's all it is. And it's a good choice too. It's very helpful. And they hit a couple of balloons too with the airburst, which is nice, so. 74, easy peasy. All you need is a destroyer, that's it. A destroyer with camo and you're pretty good for most rounds. Definitely gonna have to do a Monkey Buccaneer only run, see how far they can get by themselves. I know, but the fact that they can make money, see camo, and just do massive damage, they could probably get to like 140 at least. That's assuming that I don't get a Paragon, which you probably could with all the marketplaces and stuff, or the merchantmen. Definitely, it sounds like an interesting idea. 75 was an issue. It was kind of an issue on cabin, but now you can see it's nothing. You can see how slow these guys are moving. And then you have the destroyers at the very end to finish them off. It's perfect placement, honestly, on those 2 destroyers back there. Gonna get some more submarines going. Submarine damage is very underrated, I believe. Submarines are insanely powerful. You got 78. 78's not an issue. Never an issue. Nothing's an issue when it comes to destroyers and boomerangs and basically all these towers that have a lot of pierce going for them. That's never going to be an issue. Granted, if this was full speed ceramics, then this would be a different story, obviously, but at the same time, it wouldn't be half cash. So. $78, not an issue. 79, even less of an issue. If anything, this is one of the rounds that gets even easier, because then you can just deal with the balloons on one side and the BFBs on another. Really no overlap, no issues or anything. Very simple. Definitely easier like this, honestly. Having the rounds split up like that just makes it easier. Not an issue on 80. Now we have the ZOMGs. 80 is not going to be an issue. Gonna fly right through 80, easy peasy. 81's even easier. Biggest issue is the ceramics, but that's what you got a team for. And the druids, so. Definitely got a little bit scary there, but airburst darts coming clutch. So that's the 4th one. Now, the last level of the Odyssey is a big difference compared to the rest of it. You can see it starts at 75, and basically the health and movement speed are all decreased. Rigor is decreased. So this is what I wanted to talk about earlier that I mentioned, where I kind of goofed up on the last level. So I actually beat it, and I screwed up because that meant I had to redo everything all the way up to that. So instead of doing that, I decided to copy everything and put it in a challenge editor. I have all the settings exactly the same. Only stealthing is allowed. There's no continues, no monkey knowledge, just like the challenge. could always go back and look at it just to make sure for yourself. I left myself with the exact number of monkeys that I had when I beat the last round. I'm not sure about the Buccaneer and the Submarine, but they can't be used here anyway, so I didn't really think much of it. But boomerangs, everything like that, it's exactly the same that it had at the very end of Cargo. So this level looks like it'd be easier because everything's at half speed, half health. I believe it's quarter speed and half health is what it is. This one took me like an hour and a half. Just to get by. I couldn't even get past round 75 for the first like 10 minutes. I have no experience playing on Workshop at all, so this was a huge learning curve for me on what to put and where to put it. This was also when I was starting to think that maybe I kind of messed up with the towers that I picked, where, you know, maybe having no submarines, more Buccaneers I could have used, and maybe another like land tower. But I was very determined to make it work, and I mean, as you guessed by me uploading this video, I ended up making it work. So, Dragon's Breath is the MVP of this, absolutely. But track extensions, all the stuff that like I've never really thought to use, or maybe I'd be a little bit worried to use because I didn't want to waste it, especially on half cash. Very scary. This took much planning to beat. It's a very sketchy run, it is. Not knowing what towers to use, where to put them. I believe there's only one camo tower on the map right now, so camo is an issue. I had to do like a whole bunch like that. I had to sell something to buy camo for everybody to make it work, and then rebuy and all that stuff, and it took a lot of like trial and error to get past this one. This one really gave me a run for my money here. Especially with like track extensions and stuff like that, like planning out when to use that, when to use the reverse motor, splitting up the round like that so half are stayed behind while the other half come towards so you can take them out piece by piece. Just not an easy one, man. But as for placements and stuff, trial and error, the upgrades to get, trial and error, because I do like Dragon's Breath, but I didn't really plan ahead that well for it. You know, where to put the walls of fire, when to sell what tower to upgrade who, it's just ridiculous. But honestly, I ended up beating this, and then I had to redo it all. I had to remake the entire challenge in Challenger Editor mode. So, I mean, you're more than welcome to look at the settings that I had showing for a little bit, and then look at the challenge settings that I scrolled through. They should be exactly the same. I double checked, triple checked them just because I wanted to be as accurate as I possibly could, because I felt so bad knowing that I had to redo the whole Odyssey and replicate what towers I used where and all that. I figured it'd be a lot easier just to put it in Challenger Editor, set the game mode to half cash on medium difficulty or easy difficulty. I don't remember what it was. I think it's easy difficulty, to be honest. But copying what towers I had, copying the 3-3-3 rule where they can't go higher than that. With the starting money was the same, the lives are the same, obviously. Start and end rounds are the same. It took a little bit, but I think it was a lot more worth it in the end than trying to redo that whole Odyssey and pulling all my hair out, because that was ridiculous. But yeah, so now we're on 83. Ceramics again are weakened, Moabs are weakened. Both of them are moving a lot slower than normal. So challenge looks easy on paper, but going to around 100 is definitely nerve-wracking. DDTs are nerve-wracking. When I was popping DDTs, I'm around 90, 93, 95, I was nervous because of how far they get. I still don't really know how much health they have, but that's another thing. But you can see everything's dying pretty quickly when you have a high-powered sniper and Dragon's Breath aimed at it, so that helps. I got my Blowback Druid with the Whirlwind in the back, just in case they get that far. I have a Bouncing Bullet Sniper in a very surprisingly good location. You can see the Moabs as they spawn, and you can see the balloons as they get relatively close, which is the idea. So he's basically always firing. Not to mention that where the balloons actually spawn, it doesn't really get used too much. 95, obviously, it's going to get used for the spam of camo leads and camo purples, but besides that, you don't really have to worry about anything over there, so it's pretty nice. I'm starting to get my spike factories going. Figured I had 3 of them, I wanted to use everything that I had, really. I mean, this is where I thought maybe I messed up with the towers that I have left. then I might have to redo it. And luckily that wasn't the case. Luckily, again, through a lot of tries, I got there. I sold that. I didn't need him to have camo anymore. And I figured putting guided magic exactly on top of the other wall of fire where that one is was a better spot because I could hit them multiple times, especially if I extend the track. A lot better placement. Plus you can see over the table and stuff if you ever had to. So, much better. But it definitely gets a little bit scary. Just because they have a half health and quarter movement speed doesn't mean they can't get through. So, I got basically most of the stuff I have down. I'm going to put down the last Spike Factory at some point. I'm going to use the 2 Monkey Aces. Just because I have the money for it and it's worth it. Not really worth taking any risk. Looking back on it, probably should have put the Monkey Aces down earlier to do extra damage to the Moabs, but here's what it is. So we slowed them down even more. It's a scary map, it really is. Workshop is very tricky. It's very interesting though, it is a good map. Now we're going to get the last one down. I have to go Smart Spikes on it, just so I could get it to aim in the proper spot. Otherwise, they'd be putting it on the path right next to it that's on the bottom left. It wouldn't do anything at that point, so... You can see what I'm talking about, the DVTs though. They're getting slightly further and further, and it's scary. But luckily there aren't ends before anything can happen. 96, big balloon round, very difficult. I got all my Spike Factories down, all the Spike Balls and bigger stacks in faster production. Now I'm going to get the Monkey Aces going. I should have put them down earlier, like I said, to get the fighter plane, but it all worked out, so. Center path is useless. Sharper darts is much better. Gonna do the same thing here. I just want damage on Moabs, I don't care about anything else. I can't even tell you how many times I died around 98, and that is frustrating alone. But there you go, that's 97. 97 is not bad at all weekends, right? 98's got the most balloons ever, so this round is obviously scary. You gotta do what I gotta do. Get the fighter plane, sharper darts going. Definitely a scary round. Those Spike Factories really came in clutch. But 99's not really an issue. Just have to use the extended track. I'm going to use it one more time. I actually have to use both the reverse motor and the extended track on that one. But you can see that the BAD deck takes a lot more damage than it should. Luckily I have enough money for the extended track. Thank God. But you can see right there.